Hey everybody, this is James P. Wagner here again in the back office of the Dog-Eared Bard's Bookshop. Here for another business book review. As many of you know by now, this is just a little series that I do. As a business owner, I've read tons of business, personal finance books, books that help with success and all that. And, I just like telling you about the ones that I liked and the ones that you could find value in. So here I am again today. And this one I got for you is one that a lot of you probably have heard of because it's been a bestseller pretty much since it came out in 2009, and that's Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek. He has a whole series of the 4-hour books now, like the 4-Hour Chef, the 4-Hour Body, things like that. But this is really the one that kickstarted it. And this one actually kickstarted talking about a lot of concepts that, they're more known now. In fact, they're kind of oversaturated now, where they talk about automating your income, passive income, and, setting stuff up so that you don't really have to work. But these concepts were kind of new back when they came out in 2009, partially because it wasn't until about 2007 that you could really have lots of really long videos that could stream over the internet, because the bandwidth just wasn't what it is today. But now you can you have hours, multi-hour long videos that you can download really quickly and watch and stream perfectly, and all these streaming services, all these video transfer services. So it's just the concept now of getting information out there and doing automated stuff, it's very well known now. But this was a book that kind of really dived into it. Because this person, Tim Ferriss, he lived this. He, managed to make an automated business himself. Well, not completely automated. He had employees, but for him, he outsourced a lot of things. He had automation going on with email lists and things, and he had a sports nutrition supplement business, basically, that he created. He built it up, and then he sold it for a big payday, and it created the type of income that he wanted, so he could pursue the lifestyle that he wanted. And that's really kind of what this book goes into. So the takeaways of this book is this book is really a combination of personal finance, business strategy, and a kind of like a rah live your best life book and do what you want. Like, he talks in this book about all sorts of things from Chinese kickboxing to tango dancing, traveling the world, all sorts of stuff like that. And it takes a bit of a different approach than some of the other books that I've talked about and a lot of people talk about when it comes to your approach to business. The approach that truthfully I probably more subscribe to, which is, if you're doing something you're passionate about, you don't really work a day in your life. Which you've heard a lot. And I mean, it sounds a little cheesy, corny, and cliche, but it really is kind of true that if you're working in something at least that's adjacent to, what you love, it's much easier to get through the hard times in that work. The approach that Tim Ferriss takes is a different one, and it was pretty new for this time. And the idea was you should automate and outsource as much of your business as possible, so that your work time, the title, the 4-Hour Work Week, which is probably a big part of why this book sold so much, especially in America, where an average work week now is like 60 to 80 hours for most people. Either you take all the overtime you can at a job you have, or you work a second job to do that. So the idea of cutting your your work week down to approximately 4 hours, 1/10 of it, by having other people do it and automation doing it, so you can kind of pursue the lifestyle that you want with the things you're passionate about. Whether it's, you're doing martial arts, or you're doing writing, or you're doing, like Lego building, or just all the hobbies that you want to pursue that everybody typically waits until they're retired to be like, oh, I'm going to do that at that point. This book talks about that if you set up, an automated business system, that you can generate enough money that you can actually, have free up your time basically to do that. And one thing that this book really goes into is the benefits of free time and also mobility in terms of saving money and conversion rates when it comes to price points in different areas. Because Tim Ferriss, he travels a lot around the world, and he has this whole section where he talks about how in certain parts of Spain, he was able to have like first class hotels, first class transportation, first class food, take martial arts lessons, have language lessons, and do like just all sorts of lavish stuff for approximately, I think it was like $600 US a month or something like that. It basically shows that in different parts of the world, the dollar can go a lot farther. And also that there's a lot of options that open up when you have more free time, because anybody who's ever gone on a family vacation kind of notices that around the times that everybody has off, the prices are through the roof. One thing that I know this myself personally, because I do a lot of book tours and I've traveled all over the place to do that. And I can always say that when I travel in the middle of the week, in the middle of non-peak times, it's way cheaper than it is when you're going on like weekends, or when you're going on times that, typical days off that everybody has, where it becomes kind of a bidding war for hotels, and they keep, they raise their prices and things like that. So that's just, one point in this about saving money. And when it comes to the setting up the automated approaches, one example that he gives early on in the book is about a friend of his who set up basically a business funnel where he had a web page that advertised these sound libraries for musicians who kind of want to use all those sound effects and things like that in the back of their the music they're making. And of course this was in 2009, so these were actually big CD sets. They weren't downloadable products like they probably would be now. But this person set up a website where he basically drop shipped them because there was a manufacturer he had a contract with. So he advertised these, and he did it through I think it was through Yahoo he did it in. And he said that he spent approximately $700 a month on advertising, and he was taking in more than $10,000 from his end of the sales, because the way that this would work is he'd advertise the products. When he got a sale, he would put in an order from the company that made them. They would then ship it to the client. They would take the amount that he owed them from that, and he would pocket the difference. And it was a pretty big markup. He would make like at least 100, 120% on those sales. And he'd do this all from his laptop, so that he could make this money, and then he could kind of pursue what he wanted to pursue and didn't have to think very much about business in the way traditional businesses would. And yeah, I mean, obviously some of this stuff has stayed up to date. Some of it hasn't stayed up to date. Like, for example, he talks about how he advertises in forums, banner ads, and, forums don't really exist anymore. Like, they do, but they're not as popular as they were. Obviously, social media took the place of forums, and now there's social media marketing, which, any number of people could tell you about that and the effects of that. I've used that a lot myself, and I've had a lot of success with it myself too. So, but who knows what it'll be in 10 years from now. But the fundamental idea of, putting the product or the service in front of enough people and then having a conversion rate and all that, like this stuff was, that stuff is still prime, even if some of the methodology has kind of gotten dated a little bit. But yeah, it's there's a lot of interesting philosophy in this book. And one of the big questions that people kind of have is taking a sort of passive approach, an automated approach, really going to bring you success? Because you can look at it a couple different ways. It's like, do you want the full success life, the full success mindset, or are you just looking to get money so you can go painting tennis shoes or something like that? And I would say that there's probably a bit of both in that, because some people question the methodology of this book. But personally, I know lots of people who have actually done some of the stuff in this book and made a lot of money with it. I've used some of the tools in this book, and I've made a lot of money with it. There's no shortage of stories of people out there. Some of them are probably BS, but a lot of them have proof of using the marketing this way and the automated ways of doing it that bring in the money. Will this this type of methodology make you like a millionaire, be successful in the long term? That's an interesting philosophical question. Probably not. Like, can you make a business that'll get you $10,000 a month automated for you doing barely anything? Probably. Will that make you millions of dollars or ensure long-term success by itself? No, probably not. It's kind of like the concept of passive income is a thing that you hear about all the time. But passive income, like, one of the secrets of passive income is you don't actually do it passively. Like, usually it's a part of something that you're already doing. Like, probably the easiest example is all those YouTube channels where you've got like a really big following, and they're talking about whatever they're talking about, and then people start selling t-shirts on them. It's like, the t-shirts are passive income, because once you set up the designs and you put it there, it's there, and then they don't have to do anything because they have like a company that's making them and selling them and all that. But if they stopped with their YouTube channel, they stopped like bringing advertisement to it, it wouldn't go anywhere. So there's a lot of ends to this. But yeah, this is definitely a book that changed a lot of people's lives and opened a lot of people's minds up to a lot of different possibilities, both from living the philosophy of living your best life and fitting in as much as you can in the short lives that we have, from the idea of your money goes farther in different areas, which is definitely true. So many times when we live in an area for long enough, we kind of forget that there's some entire huge world out there, and different currencies and different exchange rates and all these things. And so, like, when you start working in business where you're actually you're looking at different things more in the trade in and trade out or whatever, it's like different countries and stuff, you kind of see that. I ship to Canada and Australia and the UK a lot, and I get paid in the different currencies, so you see the conversion rate. So that's something that he talks about a lot. and then just the concept of having the extra free time and the options that that can open up. So there's a lot of stuff in this book that's really valuable. So definitely worth a read. I'd highly recommend it to you. So uh, yeah, hopefully you get a copy of this and you take a look at it. That's pretty much all I got for you today. And we'll see you next time for business book reviews. Take care.